Hi! Today is the day after my camp week. So this video is all about camp. I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. Oh, it's a video. Oops. What up?
Dining area,
You saw my bag there. Get up. Get up.
No! I didn't want to stay here anyway. You got up.
I got up to get my phone.
Just say, but show. So change your behaviors after to show other people that you have learned.
I'm at camp. My camp here in New York City is a part of an organization that I work with and I'm on the board for called CISV. Its name came from Children's International Summer Village. And I am a co-director of one of our local programs for kids here in New York City. The program is free for kids. So while I do live in Oaxaca, Mexico, I've been doing this camp program for 7 years. So I have come back from Mexico for the past 3 years to do this camp because I love it. And it is so transformative for the kids. They love it every single year. This is a peace education camp. And so it's all about learning how to live together, work together, and steward a better future right now as we're all thinking about how to find new beginnings during what feels like so many ends. This program is one of the most, for me, it's one of my main ways of contributing to that. I guess I'll start by saying that in the first 2 days probably of camp, I was already pretty depleted. So everyone's inside. We just had dinner, but I had to walk aside and sit by myself a little bit and just breathe and meditate. It's really hard to keep these kinds of systems going in an environment like this. Like the way I am so bloated right now. I'm drinking coffee like at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I'm not gonna go to sleep until 1. I went to sleep at 1 last night. We wake up. I do morning stretch with the kids at 8:20. So it's like every once in a while I just need to step away because they can be so loud and just breathe for a bit and be with myself so I can keep going for them. Yeah, I'm gonna go join the group now, but this is how I try to make a little bit of time for myself. The theme of the camp was balance, finding your flow. So this year's camp theme is about balance, and I particularly was interested in talking to the kids about how to balance grief and joy. So amongst times of immense grief, like we're all experiencing right now, how can we try to be okay? And just the fact that it's okay to want to be okay. It's okay to want to thrive. I think when we're so aware of such atrocities like what are happening in the world right now, it kind of feels bad to enjoy. It kind of feels bad to be happy, to like swim and just, you know, devour, to just be content in your blessings and to recognize, you know, to feel gratitude for everything that we have, because it just feels like, why me? And, you know, because other people don't get to have what I have, I shouldn't have what I have. But at the end of the day, I really believe that making ourselves suffer doesn't help anyone. I think we help people by trying to continue to vibrate high and to be full enough to extend and to support others. Like by me caring for myself, I'm able to care for these kids and create experiences that these kids can remember and that help them in their lives. And that kind of ripple effect is why I'm here. This camp is an integral part to the ecosystem that I create in terms of wellness and inclusion and helping beings thrive as a part of my company, being Earthlings. The ecosystem includes Casa Sirena, my peaceful home away from home in Playa del Carmen that gives people a place to stay for affordably and to relax and to just like be in a place where they're supported and held, and that feels like home in a beautiful, beautiful place in Mexico. I have the retreats that I also host in Casa Sirena. My grant writing work, where I help good organizations continue doing good work. My inclusive systems design work, where I help companies and organizations figure out how to make their environments more inclusive and help all members feel a sense of belonging. And then I have also my wellness work, where I'm teaching one-on-one yoga and I'm helping people learn how to breathe and feel closer to themselves and to the earth and to each other. So this camp is just all a part of that. A balancing act, finding your flow. Every day has its own theme. Monday is rooting down and rising up. So it's talking about the balance between kind of like an inward gaze and an external gaze, and kind of like finding who you are and finding your roots so that you may then branch out and become, be seen as who you are in the world and like what that looks like and what the difference between those things might be. So one of the really cool activities that we do on that day is a social media activity that one of my co-directors facilitates, and it's called Selfies. Okay, so we are doing an activity called Selfies. On a fold, they're gonna fold a piece of paper, of construction paper. On the front, they're drawing themselves, how they want other people to see them. So as if they were taking a selfie, how would you want people to see you on the outside? And then the inside are the parts of you that you don't really show to people. Maybe the parts of you that you hide, or that takes a little bit more time to come out. Just to get them thinking about, I don't know, what are those parts about yourself that you hide? And like, maybe why do you do that? And what does that say about how you perceive yourself? And just to get them remembering that everything that we see on social media is not reality. It doesn't apply to me too much because I share so much on social media about my personal life. But I mean, it obviously still does in a certain way. I still have to think about how to present the information I want to share in a way that's going to be like digestible and that people will like. Anyway, I'm walking away from the group right now because I'm picking up some tape so they can close their picture so no one can see the inside. And I can't seem to find my speakers, so I'm hoping that they're just here in the activity room and I haven't just left them lying around, because that would be the saddest thing in the world. So this is the first full day of camp somehow. It's only Monday. Yesterday the kids arrived and already I know all of their names, and yeah, it's going pretty well. And so the kids draw a selfie of themselves. We talk about social media and like when you take a selfie of yourself, what is the, like, what do you think about before you post? Like what's going through your mind before you post? And you're thinking like, how do I look? Will people like it? Will people think I'm cool? Will people think I'm weird? You know, stuff like that. So we get the kids to kind of reflect on how they're perceiving themselves from the perspective of other people. And so they draw on the outside their selfie of like how they want people to see them. But then on the inside, they draw themselves, but it's like the parts of themselves that they wouldn't share, or that they don't share, or that takes them longer to share with people. And we get them thinking about like, why is that something that you tend to like keep with yourself and not want to share as readily with others, you know? So that's part of like the theme of Selfies on day one, rooting down, rising up. And then day two, I really love this one. This one is all about reciprocity. So it's about what you have to offer your community. Like what do you have within you to offer and to share? And then also like what do you receive? what does your community give to you, and what do you have to share with your community? Do I have a good example of an activity that we did on that day? We have 4 activities per day, so like I am not gonna remember all of them, to be honest, but this one was a really good one. I had the kids build a castle. So basically they just drew their own castle. We gave them like 15 minutes to draw it. I want to make a castle on a piece of paper. And then in that castle, they were to put, I want to say 10 of the qualities about themselves that they really value. So either things that they value in life, like family or friendship, but also things about themselves like they're open-minded, integrity, or optimism. You know, I'm thinking of some of the things I wrote on mine. Then what happened was, like this was one of my staff leading this one, a dragon comes and like tears off a part of your castle, and now you have to get rid of 3 of those values or qualities that you put down. And so then you have to like choose, you know, like which ones do I let go? And by the end of it, you're left with 4, but then something else happens and you have to like there's like 1 more that you have to get rid of until you're only left with 3. And it was so hard at that point. I think I was left with generosity, gratitude, and open-mindedness. I had to get rid of optimism. But I guess I figured because if I have gratitude and I have open-mindedness, then, you know, that's kind of like optimism. So I was willing to get rid of that one. But all these kids had to do that kind of analysis. And then with the last 3 that they have, they make a crown out of construction paper. You know, they, like the staff, he showed them how to make a crown, and some of them came out really beautifully. And you write your 3 things on the crown, and that's like what are the most valued qualities or the most valued things for you. So that really goes into the reciprocity thing, because you're really thinking about what's important to you in terms of sharing or in terms of receiving. So that one was really great. What's going on?
Some of the super.
Oh. We are family. Welcome to my crib.
Oh.
So we did the reciprocity one. That was 1, 2. So then the next one, I believe, Wednesday. I'm not remembering. Maybe I'll write it down. I'll tell you the ones I remember. I don't want to get up right now to find the paper where we have them all written down. So another one that I remember that followed was about differences. And that was one of my activities was on that day. To be honest, I wanted it to be on the reciprocity day, but we had to make some changes to the schedule. Whoa!
Is it raining?
So with these themes, you can really like move things around to make it work. So I had the kids talk to trees. And I related it to difference because I'm like, the only way you're going to be able to know what you have similar or different to another person is knowing yourself. Like, how are you going to find your similarities? How are you going to find your people in the world, right? If you don't know who you are. And so this activity was about self-reflection. First, I read an excerpt from a book called Service Berry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World, something like this. It's by the same woman who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass. And so I read from pages 7 to 9 in that book, I think, where she's talking about, like, she's introducing the gift economy and how the word for berry in the Potawatomi language, I hope I'm saying that correctly, but in an indigenous language from the Great Lakes, that the way you say berry is gift, and really driving home that literally everything that we receive in this world and that we consume is from this earth. And it's really beautiful. I think it really sets the tone for having respect for nature. And that's important because the next phase was having the kids, I gave them a pen and paper and a little piece of cardboard to write on. They were to go outside, find a tree, and talk to the tree. Either to like just connect with it, to receive information. I leave it really open. And I might change it a bit, not necessarily say talk to trees, so the kids who are a little bit more hard-headed will get it. But some get really creative with it. They give the tree a whole like story, a whole life, and they name it, and they ask it questions about itself. They tell it about their day, about who they are, about what they're doing. And so it's really, really nice. And what I also love about that part of the activity is that just by sitting in nature for a while, like we're already on Thursday, right? But the kids are seeing things that they never noticed at the campsite before, like ants carrying, leaves or whatever, like marching ants. Or I think someone saw a spider eating an ant or something like this. You start to notice like sap on a tree. One JC, one of our junior counselors, saw this like bug that it thought was attracted to him, but it was actually attracted to this something in the tree, and it also is attracted to sweat. Like he looked it up. So they're really learning things about nature, and I think their world really becomes expanded when they realize that there's so much more going on than just like what we see of the human experience around us. So that part's really, really lovely. It's very calm. Like a lot of our activities and a lot of our day is on. So it's a perfect opportunity to just like slow down for a moment and show the kids how you can find moments of stillness and to slow down amongst everything. So then I invited them all back inside. I should say, when we start the activity too, most of the time when we enter the activity room, we're all like screaming, and we're like telling them to get into a circle, and like we're like quiet, we're trying to get them to be quiet, and we get into a circle and we do the thing. But for this one, I'm always really serious about not saying a word, just being an example and setting a tone, setting a vibe. So I have like candles in the middle of the floor. I had some lavender. I had like these little like electric tea light candles too. And I had one of our junior staff go in before the kids and start playing like nice, gentle guitar. And I told the staff, I just told them when they came through the door, I'm like, we're walking in a circle. Welcome, come in, we're walking in a circle. Welcome, come in, we're walking in a circle. Welcome, come in, we're walking in a circle. And then soon everyone is just quietly, we don't even tell them to be quiet. They just pick it up, walking in a circle. And then I, this was kind of hard without speaking, like got them all to sit down in the circle. I just tried to be an example and sat down in the circle. I read from the book. I told them we're gonna go talk to trees. We talked to trees. It was really lovely. And then when they come back inside, I talked to them about journaling. I asked, who's familiar with journaling? Why do you do it? Well, this is what we're going to do. I have some questions for you. I'll give you an abundance of time to write. So I asked them like 5 questions in the span of like 30 minutes, and really just keeping it on the group and seeing who's done or who needs more time. And these questions that I asked them were beautiful, reflective questions that I actually got from a guidebook that was written by a friend of mine. Her name is Amara, and she created this beautiful guidebook called Return to Self, which I'll link in this description. But it has I only pulled from the first section. Like immediately I saw so many great questions for this activity for the kids, but there are, I don't know, like 4 or 5 sections, each with like 20 questions. I don't know if that's correct, but it's really extensive, and it's a great way to introduce people to journaling by having reflection questions for them. And the kids they really tapped in, or I should say they really locked in. They were really with it, and they were thinking, and I never put too much pressure on them to be writing or to be doing anything, because I know how much kids sometimes just want to put on a front like they don't care, when in reality they're really thinking about things and soaking things in. So my whole thing when I facilitate my activities is about allowing people to approach the work however feels comfortable for them, because as long as you're in the space and as long as you're present, as long as you're listening, I'm sure that they're gaining something from it. And then we rate all of our activities. So at the end, we did a fist of 5, which is like close your eyes and put up a number for 1 to 5 from how much you like this activity. And I got a lot of 4s and 5s. So that was really nice. Yeah, that was really nice. There are so many more activities. I mean, like I said, we have 4 a day for 5 days. But what I really wanted to talk about was like how I found my flow, how I found my balancing act and my flow throughout this week, because the camp week is like known to be stressful. You're known to be on a certain cadence and like lifestyle and like energy level that we are not usually on as like 30 something. Like we're all anywhere from 25 to 40, 35, from like 25 to 35 in our leadership group. So we wake up at 8 a.m. I facilitate morning stretch at 8:20. We have breakfast, and then it's just like you're constantly on, and then all the things that come up throughout the week, like kids misbehaving, like serious things do come up. And luckily, like this is a big organization. We have so many like systems in place for when things come up. But like as a director, I'm dealing with a lot of like the more serious issues. If it's like an injury or if it's just like inappropriate behavior amongst the kids, like having the difficult conversations with the kids, having the difficult conversations with parents, we had all of that. So, and then the food, we use this campsite. We don't have a lot of control over the food that we get because there's like a whole other camp happening around us. We're just like a small little group that uses the space. And so we don't have a lot of say over the food, and it's just like not it, okay? We had to beg them to give us vegetables with every meal, and they kind of were like, we'll try. And as a vegan-ish person, like you should see the stuff that they give me. It's super rude. If I have some pics, some videos here of that, I will share it with you. And so we also get a bunch of snacks, and we have one of our staff works at Trader Joe's. So we really make sure to like get as many like supplemental protein stuff, like nourishing stuff as we could. And so, I'm like eating energy bars. It's tough. And it's hard to find time to like find the privacy to use the bathroom efficiently. So it's pretty insane. Luckily, like we're a beautiful family in this group, and we care about each other, and we're always going to make sure that everyone is like good. And we know that people work their best when they have energy to be their best, So you have to take care of yourself in order to be present for the group. We also have very high expectations about taking your responsibility, and like we have ratio. We need people to be with the kids at all times. So, if you're going to be away, you need to communicate and all of this stuff. So by like the 3rd day, I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. I need to figure out how not to be extremely bloated every day. We have our meetings that start at lights out, which is like 10 o'clock. And they usually go on until like 2 a.m. And I usually showered at night, so I wouldn't be in bed until like 3 a.m. And then I would wake up at 7 to do my business in private. And then I have morning stretch at 8:20. So like very small window to take care of yourself. And you don't want to be exhausted in the nightly meeting because we're talking about everything that came up that day. We do roses and thorns. So we talk about how we're doing in our emotional states and like how the camp is going. And then we also plan for the next day, because sometimes not all the activities and everything are planned yet. And so much of them rely on like the vibe of the group. So it's not easy to like pre-plan these things either. And we don't expect our staff to come with pre-planned activities. They might have an idea, but we really do it like on the fly, because I've been doing this for 7 years. All of the staff were returning staff, so we know what we're doing. But you still have to plan, and you have to make sure you have your supplies. You have to make sure all the staff knows what's going on, so we could all be a team in facilitating this for the kids. So I just made sure I had some kind of routine. And the routine that seems to have like really helped me the most was like, yeah, even though it would be late, prioritizing taking my shower at night because it kind of calms me down and helps me feel clean. I made sure I got my coffee before morning stretch every morning. I decided not to eat what they were giving me for breakfast, really. I would just have like a bowl of granola and only have a few spoonfuls. This is like 9 a.m. I'm not usually eating breakfast at 9 a.m. anyway. And I'm a big wanderer. I'm a big, like, I'll arrive late to activities. I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it. I would be interested to hear from my staff of how they feel like I show up, because I'm always there. And I'm also kind of strict with the kids. Like I'll be like the one to be like quiet, sit down, like getting them all to like be quiet and listen. But I'm also like really hands off. Like I disappear, I'm pretty sure. But I show up immediately when I'm needed, or if there's an issue, or yeah, I think what really helped my self-care was just like trailing behind sometimes. Or being willing to be present and removed. So one of the first thing I told my staff on the first day was like, I'm used to being alone a lot. I live in Mexico. A lot of my community is virtual. Like I have present physical community and I love to see them, but day to day I spend a lot of my time alone. So sometimes I might kind of like honestly dissociate, like check out a bit and be in my own world. But that's just because that's what I do when I'm overstimulated and overwhelmed. So that's what I would do a lot. And I'm glad I let them know, because I wanted them to know nothing's wrong. I'm not upset. You can still come and talk to me. I'm not like gonna be rude, but you might see me just kind of like, you know, like walking by myself, or, you know, again, like trailing behind, or like seeming a little checked out, because that's how I wasn't meditating. Like I had no time to meditate throughout the week. So that's how I had to show up. So yeah, communicating your needs, communicating who you are and how you show up is a really good way to, to find that balance, you know, not feeling the need to be something else for other people, or to give people your energy if you don't have it. By the end of the camp, they absolutely loved it. They felt like one big family. We have this fire ceremony at the very end where they share what they got out of the camp experience, and a lot of them, you can tell they saw themselves and they saw the world differently. They learned not just from our activities, but just like being in this community of kids that they might not have been so close with before. The second the camp was over, we had some staff who had to stay behind and pack up supplies, and they drove. And the rest of us were on the bus with the kids. We'd send the kids off to their parents. We said goodbye, thank you so much, you were lovely, they were sweethearts. And we went straight to a bar 4 blocks away. And we had like 4 pitchers of beer, and we just debriefed and chatted and got it all out of our systems, you know, talking about our favorite kids, talking about everything that went down throughout the week. And yeah, and that was yesterday, and tomorrow I leave back for Oaxaca. I return changed, I return new, I return energized. I guess I would say The main thing I received from this camp, because every year I change, and I'm interested to see the new version of myself that I bring. This year I felt more responsible. I felt more prepared to handle like hard questions. Yeah, kind of what I said about being able to be honest about who I am and what I have to offer and just showing up as just enough. It was hard at some points because, again, I have such beautiful staff and they're so smart and they're so capable and they're so interesting and the kids love them. So sometimes you want to be different, or I wanted to be different. I wanted to be able to show up in the way that they did at times. But I found a lot of grounding and a lot of peace in the knowledge that like they're already who they are. And that's wonderful. I'm who I am. And there are certain kids that appreciate that from me. And my job is to bring who I am. And it's so interesting how much they see and how much they pick up on without you even telling them who you are.
Okay, so I'm super nervous, okay, so be nice. And this isn't Pegasus. I like to sing and play. I don't really sing, so just like know that I'm not necessarily a singer.
Pegasus. Pegasus.
I'm just being honest.
Tengo otras caras posibles, tú me las quitas todas. Tengo una risa con alas que vuelan si estamos a solas. Tengo una voz, una piel que quiere que tú las descifres. Tengo la vida muy corta para entender lo que dicen tus ojos, que cuando los miro brillan igual que los míos, pero no logro entender de qué van.
Something I think that's really important to state also is that our camp group is extremely diverse, and we make an effort to make it so. We want racial diversity, we want socioeconomic diversity, and we want gender diversity. Gender was like a major theme of our camp this week, like not like a theme, although we did have an activity about gender and encouraging the kids to just like think about who they really are and why they do the things they do, and how much of that is because of like what they're told they're supposed to be based on their gender, and how much of that is like truly how they like to live and express themselves. But that activity came out of the fact that we simply had such a genderqueer community amongst us. We had one non-binary kid. We had another kid that seems to have been like exploring their gender. We had staff that was queer and genderqueer. We have a lot of queer staff.
Permiso.
Ah, cuties! Yep.
Oh, but is it actual?
All of that makes our community so much more, I don't know, rich, right? And it makes the mission even stronger. Just like showing them what it means to be accepting of yourself and be accepting of others, for the purpose of liberation, man. We're out here to be free. We're out here to be free, and we're out here to create a better world. And these kids were really getting the message. I'm so proud of them, and I have hope. for the future. With what I saw, I have hope for the future.
To go, baby. I hate to go.
Oh, yo. I don't know where the. Guys, CI. We're gonna unload. When you meet your, listen up. When you meet your parents, you need to check out with me, so that way you can go home. Okay?
Do not just disappear.
Yes, do not just disappear.
I'll go now.
We did it!
I will be doing attendance. Make sure you come to me with your parent.